Hello, hello, and welcome to the second episode of Car Talk with the Vegan Gypsy Soul. Today I have two people in my hot seat. Okay.
Hey, I'm Keisha.
And I'm Opal Love.
So we decided let's start doing these car talk things where it's real life situations that we're dealing with and how we go about them. Last week I shared about how I was struggling a lot because looking for housing is incredibly challenging out here. Very challenging. And out of nowhere, when I did my MindShift change, money came to me without me having to ask, without me having to look, just literally landed on my lap. So I want to continue with that because now not only did I manifest one place that I wanted by the beach, but I did two. Yeah.
So now you got options. It's always good to have options. Yes.
Yeah. A little bit about that though, because a lot of people, like when they hear that I manifest things, they think I'm lucky, or well, I wish that I could just naturally just be that free spirited, or be that trusting and everything. And what people don't realize is that there's nothing that comes natural about that, because our brain literally is here as our protection device. But our brain protects us in the knowing. Knowing does not mean it's safe. And that's the biggest thing. And I'm going to say that again. Your brain thinks it's protecting you and it's doing its job because of trauma. It protects you in the knowing, but the knowing is not always safe. And if you think about it, we've all been in crappy ass jobs that they've treated us like shit, no money, but your brain tells you, but how about if I can't get anything else? But how about if the next place is going to be worse? Right?
Yeah.
Same thing with relationships and everything like that. So it's about reprogramming your brain, because this is a computer device up here.
Yeah.
So we got to reprogram the computer to get rid of that trauma.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you guys?
I completely agree with that. I mean, and our brains really do. It does veer more toward the negative if left to its own devices. And so I think a part of what we're going to get into is some of the practices and ways that we can support ourselves in reprogramming those patterns within ourselves based on previous experience, traumas, anxiety, stress, things like that. We forget. And how easy do we forget when we're faced with another challenge or situation? Like, oh my gosh, well, I know the magic of this universe and how things do tend to unfold. And we can, I want to share one of my mantras, and I use this, speaking of housing, actually, when we, meaning my former husband and I, in 2020, purchased a home and actually literally got our keys and moved in the week of the shutdown of the pandemic. And thank goodness we got it at that point. But the story of how I manifested that home really quickly. And during that process, there was a period where somebody else put an offer in, and it was accepted, but then fell through like within 24 hours. But it was in that time of like, oh no, somebody put in an offer. And I had to say, you know what? Whatever's meant for me cannot be denied nor taken away.
Yeah.
And if that thing does leave, then there's something better. But I have leaned onto it, and I'm glad I'm speaking this out, because I do need that reminder myself. Whatever's meant for me cannot be denied nor taken away.
It can't. I don't know if you wanted to jump in here. I don't know if you.
Oh, sure.
I want to give you an opportunity.
Thank you. So,
The hot back seat.
Yeah, the back seat.
Backseat.
The back hot seats. There is I love that you brought up the knowing. So there's the logical knowing, which is conditioned from society, from parents, from family. And then there's the heart space knowing, which is in our belly as well, which is where our intuition.
Yes.
And where our knowing of what is right and true for us individually, as far as the path or the people we want to surround ourselves with, what kind of love relationship we want at any given moment, and remembering that prayer is not really we go out there, right?
Within.
Right, it's within. It's the imagining like your place, imagining already what that would feel like. So that's
I'm glad you said that, because it's about so we say things, oh, I'm going to let go and trust. Oh, but what your energy is what's calling out there. So no matter what our words are, you can't bullshit the universe. The universe knows what you're feeling. It knows what you're truly attracting. You are attracting what you're feeling inside. But what we were talking about, like getting back to how you get to that place, it is a daily practice. It is a several times a day practice. And in the beginning, it was probably on almost every 15-minute practice. Because think about it. I'd be leaving my house, and I was a stress ball, living in the East Coast, just Miss Negative. I couldn't find anything to be grateful for because I was in such a depressed state in my life. And I would do my meditation or whatever it was, go to work, goddamn bad asshole boss. That's it. Now I'm in a bad mood. Okay, I'd have to go step away, and I'd have to go do breathing. Okay, I'm good. Another person. Okay, I'm pissed off again. Go step outside, listen to the birds. It was something that I was like, oh my God. I was constantly triggered. And every time I was triggered, reset. And in doing that, it went from literally having to do it about every 15 minutes to a couple times a day, once an hour. Now it's, I still do it a few times a day, depending on what is going on in my life situation. Sometimes I have to do it a couple times a day, like not knowing where you're going to live in 9 days is stressful. The logic, our mind, it wants to protect us. It's a computer system that wants to protect you. And it tries to think of every scenario possible, so it's hard to just quiet down your mind. Your mind's not going to just quiet down on its own. But when you start to think of the mind like a computer system that needs to be a new program downloaded, but then you got, trauma that comes in, it's like, okay, we got some more viruses that came in. Now you got to get the virus back down. That's how I started to treat my mind, is more like it's a computer system. So every single night religiously, I fall asleep to a sleep meditation that reprograms myself at a subconscious level. I wake up to meditations and all of that. I do it throughout the day. But I was telling you about the journaling that I did. So last week before I had the MindShift change, I went to the beach and I journaled till my hand felt like it was going to fall off. I cried it out. Stuff that I didn't even know I was feeling was just coming out and flowing out of me. And I don't even know how the hell it happened. I went from you're an imposter, you're a failure, to I'm grateful. I'm like, where the heck did that even happen?
Yeah.
But it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the shifts really do begin with looking at even the smallest of things to be grateful or express appreciation for. Because no matter what state, like what's going on, like there are things around us, within us, that we can actually say, you know what, like this is something I can appreciate. This is something that I am grateful for. And then that starts in and of itself, whether you know it in that moment or not, it does create the shift. Like where your attention goes, energy flows. And so that's how it works in that way. And I also want to speak to, because I've been guilty of this. I've been like, I'm sure you ladies, many, many years in the personal development and growth, just really doing a lot of work and on my spiritual journey. And a spiritual journey is not an easy journey. It's actually one of the most difficult, because you face yourself and all of the facets, right? And I think it's never, it's not a like destination. It's like, wow, every time we get to a new point of healing, things come up to face, to heal, to transcend. That's why it is really, it can be hard, because feeling the heavy feelings and processing is not something that we typically are like, yeah, let's run toward that. It's beautiful to see and to have that wisdom from that. And so anyway, I wanted to include that, because again, being somebody who's spent a lot of time and done a lot of work, continues to do a lot of work, like literally we can't, like it's so palpable, the negative influence and of being shown in this illusion, this matrix, that there's so much outside of us, that things are just happening and out of our control, that people, if you're not intentional about taking that space, about doing things that really bring you peace, whether it's gardening or a beach walk or dancing or listening to music, or find whatever that is, so that you can take that time to reconnect to yourself, because that is where our power and energy is. However, if you are in a funk,
Mm-hmm.
have grace
Which
for
happens
yourself.
to everyone.
Have grace for yourself as well, right?
Absolutely.
And not be like, oh my gosh, I'm fucking things up because
Nope.
I'm not in a good mood. And there's a buffer to things like Abraham. We were just talking about Esther Hicks, like to the between how you're feeling and the manifestation. So thankfully there is a little buffer time so we can like clean up or, get ourselves readjusted. But it's a part of life. It is a part of our human condition that we have all of the feelings and complexities and spectrum of polarities as well.
Yes. And I love the computer analogy.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to speak on creating the new programming. So creating space. So unlearning a lot of those old stuff too. And where, there's a lot of spiritual terms like now we can quantum leap. It's like, but how do we do that? How do we get there? And it's one moment at a time, and unlearning and questioning our own thoughts.
Oh yeah.
Not just believing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right? The thoughts. So you're like, wait, is that my thought or is that my
Yeah.
thought?
Right.
Or is that
It's a lot of unlearning. I think we spent the majority of our life unlearning everything. Like that's honestly what the work is. It's like it's unlearning all the stuff that's happened, all the people telling you that you can't do this and that. I mean, even with just the apartments, like I keep bringing up to that because everybody was telling me this is not happening. You are not. The first time that I got my place that I wanted in California, everyone was like, that doesn't exist out here, but yet I got it.
Yeah.
And now the same thing. I got the exact town I said, everything that I said. But this is what I was saying before too. Treat the universe like, let's say you're going through a drive-through and you want to put in an order. If you just randomly tell them I'd want a burger, and I'm going to say vegan burger because I'm vegan. So yes, we're
vegan burgers.
Okay, so let's say you're going in through the drive-through. Okay, that's even a better scenario. If I were to just say I want a burger, how the hell would they know that I want a vegan burger? How would they know what I want on it? But it's a burger. Now, if I go into specifics and I say I want a vegan burger, okay, I got that. But how about if I didn't want certain things on there? Or I wanted some things added to it. That is how you should treat when you are putting your request out to the universe, is put in that order, to the specifics. I think about it like that. The other way I like to think of the universe is genie in a bottle. Genie in a bottle, because when you ask that genie for something, it has, I hate to say it, but like no sense of humor, no nothing. It doesn't know sarcasm. It doesn't know any of that. So when you're putting in that order, if you're not being true to how you want it and you don't say specific enough, you'll get it, but it could be like, there's always like that loophole if you're not specific enough when you're talking to the genie in the bottle. And it's like, no, I didn't mean I wanted it here in this location. I wanted it there, because that's what I did with my last place before I moved to California. Was I got in detail. I thought of everything, where I wanted to locate I thought about the feeling I wanted inside of my property. And I ended up having a narcissist as my roommate / landlord who tormented me. And I'm like, I am in the most beautiful place. I have every little thing I wanted, everything, the price I wanted, the place to do outdoor yoga, everything. But I'm miserable because I didn't think about the feelings.
Ooh, that's such a good one. That's such a good one, because I'm in that scenario actually, like of a beautiful home, like what I wanted. It has the yard, it has the water feature that I had forgotten. I had everything, right? And there's a damper because of the housemate, and the energy in the space is not harmonious and peaceful. So more clarity, you can I learned and this is the beautiful part, like we literally continually can recreate our realities. And believing that we can is key. And then also speaking to, well, then why did that happen, right? Like, I think it's a big question sometimes where it's like, well, I'm a good person and I treat people well. Why do I have encounters with shitty people and shitty situations? And what is the meaning of it, right? And I feel like the universe is always, the goal is to support us into getting more clarity, to being able to fulfill our highest potential. And if that takes unlearning things, healing things, being able to know that we can handle like the blessings or maintain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like my current scenario with the unreasonable person is being really unfuckable with, and whatever that's going to mean in terms of my next role or where I'm going for impact. There's a lot of people in the world. There's a lot of people you may attract, even though at the core you're attracting like, right? But there's also other residual, and it could be because of some old stuff. It's just life at times, right? You cross paths with people you wouldn't necessarily like choose. And I feel like the medicine is, but nobody can take the ability to come to your own center and to create and cultivate your own peace, and to be like, you know what? It's all an illusion. So what do I want, and how am I choosing to respond to this? And what am I taking from this scenario? Nobody can take that away from you. And I feel like that's a big part of my medicine.
I agree. Yes.
Being unfuckable with.
Practice, right? The
Yeah.
people that come in, and I have a light example. So with hair, I've had my hairstylist, organic hairstylist, for a couple of years now. And I went to see him, and I got distracted because we chat a lot. That I forgot to tell him this one key that I wanted was, I love the length of my hair. So I just let him chop it off, and when I looked, I was like, inside, oh wait, but it's not him. But because I always want to come back to the self of like, wait, where could I have practice being like, practice maybe if he was the universe, what did I miss? So there's moments where we can practice for the big things, right? But little things or big things, it's just the energy that you want to achieve. So we can practice even in those little moments, like a haircut. It's like, do you know exactly what you want?
Yeah.
Because that's what you will receive.
No, it's so true. It was like, with the first place that I chose, like I realized that I did get it. The things that I asked for, it was like a checklist. Like, and every one of my places for the past 5 years, ever since I started doing this inner work, it's like the universe goes, okay, check. But then I didn't think of certain things. So I wasn't even thinking like the size of the room and things like that. It's like, okay, I'm going to be falling asleep to the waves, but am I okay? So I want to challenge the universe. I do these things all the time. I'm like, universe, I'm challenging. I'm like, I got 9 days. You created this damn world. Come on, let's see what you got. Let's go. I was like, I'm upgrading my checklist for you, and I challenge the universe, but not in a sense like, do you really exist, or it's more like, we got this. Come on, universe, let's show me what you got. But I say it in like, I don't know, like a fun knowing way that the universe can do things. So I upgraded my checklist, and 2 days later, I got another place with the upgrades that I asked for. Because it's a knowing that the universe, and this, like I keep saying, it does not come natural. It does not. Every part of me wants to fight it. Every part of me is like, oh, but how about this and how about that? And I have to keep just working on myself. But the second I let go and I trust, and I truly have that playful energy with the universe of, come on, show me what you got. It shows me what it's got. But it's like, I really have to work at it, and I have so many people that come up to me. They're like, I wish I just could be fearless and just take a cross country. Girl, there was nothing fearless about that. It wasn't. I had to let go and trust. I worked at it. You know what I mean? But all those scenarios popped in my head too, just like everybody else's. It's just about doing that inner work on yourself. And like you said, it's not pleasant. It's not. But that's where growth comes in. That's where...
And making a decision, like, right? Like some people, I would love to do a cross-country road trip, or you make a choice. Yeah. You make a choice and say, this is what I want to do. And then you commit to it. And then things open up around, supporting you. And it could be something as small as, getting a pedicure, or not doing, like quitting a habit that you feel is not conducive to your health, or being around the people, friend circles, whatever relationship. It comes down to everything. It starts with making a decision.
But you have to make that decision. It's not being wishy-washy.
Yeah.
I'd like to live in California. Okay, you might be in the hood of California. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might be like fighting for your life in the middle of a gang war. You just put it out there like that. Or I just want warm weather. You might be in the swamp. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be specific. Think about what you truly want. and get as specific as you can. And the more specific you get, you start to see that it's a checklist. And it's, whether you believe in, if you're religious or if you're, woohoo and you're just spiritual, or even now science backs it up. It's a thing about energy. This is about energy. We are energy. Everything is energy. Energy attracts. And that is just the basis of it. And that, so it doesn't really matter what you believe in at this point, because for the first time, all three of them are aligned. Whether it's science, whether it's spiritualist, or whether it's religion, we all believe the same thing.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it, you want to call it God, you want to call it the universe, source, you want to call it energy, whatever it is. It works. That's just how this universe has been built. This earth has been built, to work off of energy.
Yeah. As much as I want to think sometimes that I'm an exception to the rule,
yeah.
It's the work. Yeah. It's that there's work to be done, and tools will be provided, and the ancient teachings are still applicable to these days. Like what we're talking about reminds me of the ask and you shall receive.
Yes, that's a great book.
How ancient is that?
Right.
With the
biblical.
Biblical.
And other texts of different religions and spiritual sects. Yes, ask and it is given. And the teacher, like, it's so interesting. We call it synchronicities, right? Of like, something's on our brain. We make a decision, right, of what we desire. We have clarity about how we want to feel, and more about what it looks like. Not so much about how it's going to happen, but just what. And that's where the universe is like ingenious, just incredible, about how things come together, or the information, whether it's a podcast or a conversation you overhear, or just some kind of like idea or insight. Last night I was at a gathering, someone's birthday, at her home, which is really gorgeous. Oh my gosh, from the top deck, it reminds you tropical. You see treetops and hills. And she's yeah. She's like, when I saw this place 6 years ago, she's like, I thought Costa Rica, this is what I want. And then I have a vision for like making it a retreat center in some way. Anyway, that's all coming to fruition. But the thing that she said, she wanted it, and her husband wasn't on board initially, and somebody actually put an offer in. It was kind of a similar thing with what I experienced, and whatever happened with that, because it wasn't meant for that person, it was meant for her. But the day and she didn't know it was back on the market, so she was just like, oh, we could have gotten it, and I guess she just like let it go. There was, I think, something she saw about fortune. And then something about Royal. Oh, there's a Royal truck, some kind of delivery truck called Royal, or cleaning truck. She saw that. Then on the radio, the Royals, that song, We Can Never Be Royal,
I like
that
song,
that came on. And then something else popped up on her phone. I think it was the listing of that house. And guess what? It's on Royal Street.
Oh my God.
So she had boom, 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 synchronistic things around the name Royal. And then boom, she saw, oh my God, it's back on the market. What? Like,
But stuff like that happens all the time when we follow those impulses, like we were just saying before about going with the flow. And a lot of people want to fight because you got your list of things that you're supposed to do. And in your mind, you're like, I got to do this. I got to get it. But when you're pushing against the grain and you're going against what you feel aligned with, you end up fucking shit up more than ever. How many times I've been like where like, I hate this job. I didn't even want to get out of bed. And what happens? I go there and then I get fired. Because I didn't even want to be there, and I pushed myself again. This is what I'm supposed to do, and this is what I have to do. You need to stop normalizing pushing yourself into forcing yourself into doing things. Instead, inspire yourself into doing things. Work through what you're feeling, and it's about aligning yourself back up with it instead of just pushing with your crappy ass energy that you're feeling at the moment. Because only crappy stuff will happen from there. So I stopped doing that, and even before I was, gotten to like now that I have my own schedule and stuff like that, you know what? I'm going to be late. Sorry. And then, you're probably like, well, you're going to get fired. Well, I was going to get fired anyway if I showed up with my shitty ass attitude, to be honest with you. I would have, you know what I'm saying? But when you realize things like that, when you push yourself into things, a lot of times, I mean, we all have examples of that. We force ourselves to do things that we did not feel like doing, and then things turned out worse than had we just not been there at all.
For sure.
Or it's dull, like the magic disappears. It like
because
it's like the the should box is so small.
The synchronicities that happen once you start to go with the flow. And when I go with the flow and I go follow those impulses, it could be something as simple as my car's dirty and I need a car wash. But I feel such a strong urge to I want a clean car. I would go do that. And then that would lead me to my next thing. And then I'd get another impulse. And it was like little crumbs.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, my whole day, like things that I had planned on doing, things that I was trying to, for even the retreat that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Like I still had to find a photographer, a drone person. I had to find a masseuse. Because I followed my intuition. I got my car cleaned that day. It led me to my next thing. Mm-hmm. Next thing I know, I'm at the pier at the exact time. There's somebody there with a drone. Like that's the type of synchronicities that happen. Yeah. When you follow your passions and you follow that intuition.
And that is the key word. And I feel like with the modalities of meditation and yoga, I'm a yoga instructor and we're all healers. Mm-hmm. Food, how we nourish our body and our mind. Like it comes down to trusting and listening to and honoring your inner guidance. Because that is that connection to source and the universe and God. Like your intuition is not going to steer you wrong. And I feel like in society, condition wise, in terms of you should do it this way, or this is how you behave, or this is, it's about unlearning and trusting ourselves. So when you get when you get this insight, I want to clean my car. Go clean your car. Or I feel like I want to, whatever it might be, lay out in the sun. Go. You don't that's going to lead you to something else. Even if it's just that moment of freaking bliss.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow. And then that shifts your energy. And then something else happens amazing. Yeah. But yeah, intuition.
It really, and if you don't know how to follow your intuition, what feels good. It's that simple. What feels good to you at that moment. That's your intuition.
Right.
Because your intuition's never going to want you to feel like, in a bad, I mean,
force.
Yeah. A force. That's the word. The force type of energy.
And that we can give ourselves permission to be happy.
Oh yeah.
To enjoy life.
Right.
And to be the ones to bring the happiness in a room that maybe people have internal stressors and shine, right? The permission to shine and to say, I'm amazing, I'm amazing, I'm amazing.
Yes.
And then that trickles out.
And it's so many people just stuck in like that matrix type of a thing where you feel stuck because, well, I got to get up at this time. I got to go do this. I got to do. And how you break free from it is by doing this type of stuff. I was the same person. I had to be at work. I couldn't do that. I had my set things, where it was like I didn't see daylight because I had to be at work all the time. When I get out
in the office at night or evening. Yeah,
exactly. And then it would be like, okay, now where do you go work out? In a box. I would go from one box to the next, to the other box, to my home box. It was box. They keep us in a box. And how I shifted to now having like freedom of time. I'm not even saying that there's no challenges. I mean, hell yeah, there is. But I love my life. Like, holy crap. Like I go to the beach every single day, whenever the time I want. How did I go from that to that? By doing these type of things that we're talking about. And it doesn't happen overnight. This is like a work in progress.
Yeah.
But you see it happen.
It is a work. It's a work in progress because it's a lifestyle. It's a way of being. And so you get to modify, you get better with practice because it is a practice. And just know that it's not doing it for the sake of, oh my gosh, now everything works well all the time in my life. Most things that can be, you can change the baseline of your life, but that doesn't mean shit ain't gonna hit the fan because that's life.
But that moves your directions and stuff like that.
Again, it's always a redirection.
Yeah. I don't see things as doors closed. I see it as redirected.
Yeah.
I never ever see it. And, a lot of, even when I was trying to move out of here, a lot of people are like, oh, you're going to fail and you're going to be.
They literally said you're going to fail?
They said, we'll give you 1 month. They were taking bets. They were literally taking bets that in 1 month I'd be back. And that didn't bother me any. Yeah. Because I'm like, well,
that's your stuff.
That's what
happened to you, clearly.
That is what happened to them because they didn't trust their intuition. But I don't see things as a door closed. So let's say I had come out here and it didn't work out. Yeah. I would never go back. I'd see what new doors opening up. Right. Maybe this door took me to Mexico. Shoot, I'd love to live in Mexico.
I would love to live in Mexico too.
So but when you stop seeing things as the doors closed and just realize that you're just being redirected. You got a beautiful big mansion of doors and hallways to go to. Stop
possibilities.
Yeah, like So that's why actually, so we're towards the end of it, but that's one of the reasons why I did, all my different challenges but the retreat that I have coming up, because I'm trying to help people learn how to get into this lifestyle. So they learn, and it's not a one-time thing. So it's something that you start to work on, but at least the retreat, like I'm putting together all these incredible people to just, get people to just start to see what this lifestyle is about, and incorporating just so many different, healers and people, and you guys are going to be in my next one, so yeah, I'm really excited about it. But
and you get to, as you do the work or put in the conscious effort, then you become surrounded by other leaders.
Okay,
and you get invited, and there's no effort, right?
And it just flows toward you. That's where the attraction,
the magnet,
you literally attract it. So it's just like, to the point where you think about a thing, like in the case of what Maria has shared, a drone person, or things start to happen even faster because you're in the vibration, because you believe it, because you trust,
and you're
open, and so that's just like yeah.
I didn't have to go out for anything when the first retreat place fell through, because it just wasn't living up to what we wanted it to.
Yeah.
I remember my business partner was like, "Are you upset?" I'm like, "No." And I was smiling. I go, "I can't wait to see what's next." Literally a half hour later, I get a text. We're still in the car. We get back from that place. Within the half hour, I get a message from a guest who's going to be in there. Hey, I know you already found the place, but what do you think about this place? And now I'm like, when I look at this place, it's like, it is breathtaking. It's like, holy cow, we're on top of the canyons, and it's just magnificent. But I never had to go looking for it. The people that are going to be orchestrating and being in it, they all came to me. You guys, I have my people for my next retreat on top of that.
I know.
It just keeps
things are lined up for the next one. Could you believe it? And the first one hasn't even happened yet.
But it's like, because but it's because I keep attracting it, and like we're all attracting each other. It's just, it's amazing. Like when you let go, and it's not an overnight thing, and it's not an easy thing, but that's part of, like, we all do different types of coaching and stuff like that, and it's how we help you get through it.
And also tracking, because this is another part of it when we forget, because our human brains, when we get, sometimes we get, another scenario, and we forget how instantaneous, how wonderful things work out. Keeping track of the manifestations, keeping track of the synchronicities, keeping track of these things. And they don't, yes, the big ones, marvelous, but even the smaller day-to-day, manifestations, keep track, because that's just going to show evidence. So when you need that, you just go back to your, remember this happened.
I'm so happy you brought that up, because that's exactly what I started to do too. And I was at first only keeping track of the really big ones. It was like, oh my God, this money came to me. Oh my God, this job, like all those things. But all those little ones, they really, really count. Like just simple little things, the synchronicities that happen. And I started to go a little bit step further of how reminding myself, as soon as I released it and I trusted, or however I was feeling, it came to me within this much of time. And I've been putting that in there just to remind myself, because even though we've experienced this so many times and we see it happen over again, our mind, that computer, goes back to the trauma, that virus that sneaks in, and trying to tell you, no, we're not going to be okay. But we know it. And then as soon as we remember it, we've been here before, we've done it. So that's a great idea. It really is.
Yeah, keep track of the evidence of the miracles.
Yeah. It helps you when you're struggling and doubting. It does. Do you have any last things that you want to say before we pop off here? Or?
Oh, thank you. I feel complete.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, hot seat. We got 2 hot seats today. Thank you guys for joining us. Let's see what we got going on next week in the hot seat. I'm going to put everybody's links on the social media, so if anybody wants to follow them.
Yoga, personal branding coach, and speaker. Striking Statements is the name of my business.
Yeah. I help heal, reset the nervous system, people's nervous system, help guide, like specific to each person, what they might need in their life. So spiritual coach, whatever you want to call it. guide.
And I'm Maria, the vegan with the Gypsy Soul that helps with your wellness and mindset coaching. I do things like 30-day challenges, my retreats, and of course, my CMOS, because it's about mind, body, and spirit. So we got to get all three of them working in a line. So thank you guys for being important. I thank you for being in my hot seat. I did not make anybody cry this time. Last time Shane cried, so I'm really happy. All right, guys.
But there's some healing going on.
Yes, lots of healing, lots of love. All right, bye, guys.